All right, welcome back to day 24 of the 30-day loose leash walking challenge. Today we're doing nothing. Well, we're doing something, but we're gonna practice doing nothing, which both of you boys are not doing right now. Okay, so we will be doing something, admittedly, but today we're gonna be practicing going out and hanging out with our dog. So much of this challenge has been quite a lot of go, 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 do, 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 and our dogs love that. For most of our dogs, I'm looking at Artie, my nearly 3-year-old Belgian Malinois, he would love to keep moving if he could. So movement is quite a lot of dogs' love language, and they feel a lot better when they're moving. But every once in a while, it is good to practice just hanging out, doing nothing, letting the world go by. So in a minute, you're gonna see Willow the Rottweiler, who's gonna be showing us how we can just practice doing nothing. So maybe that park bench that you've always looked at, or the table that you might wanna have a picnic at. These are gonna be experiences that help your dog kind of just be able to coexist in the world with you. Not every time that we go for a walk or do something, like we might wanna have that picnic and sit down for a little bit. But we want our dogs to be able to cope with doing nothing. So the ideal picture that we kind of wanna see from our dogs is just to get them to relax as we are doing nothing. That could look really different for every different dog. So again, going back to that conversation about dog body language, sometimes people will think, oh, well, a dog that's lying down is the most relaxed dog. And yes, it probably is like the more of the relaxed dog picture that we can get versus a sit or a stand, for example. But it doesn't always necessarily mean that the dog is super relaxed. So what we're looking for here is just a more comfortable, relaxed state than when you might have started. Some dogs are gonna find this really easy, some dogs are gonna find this really hard. So your dog can be sitting, standing, in a drop position. I actually don't want you to call them into any position. I just want them to practice getting used to pulling up somewhere and you guys not moving together. So because we want your dogs to be super relaxed in this state, we're going to definitely fade off of food very quickly if we need to for it. Again, I'm looking at some of you overstimulated labs that might be too anticipatory or just waiting for that next piece of food and isn't actually in the relaxed state. So I don't want your dog to be on edge for anything. So the biggest thing that we're gonna try and do today is just block them from doing any of the unwanted behavior. So I don't want them going necessarily super far out. So again, having that nice thumb grip so that they're getting blocked from anywhere that they're trying to get to on the leash. We're just showing them hey, you just hang out with me in that little safety bubble, but we're not going to be doing anything. Again, I don't need you to be rewarding your dog every time that they might relax and settle down. For some dogs, that's gonna be totally fine. But for some dogs, it's going to bring them up in arousal, which is not the idea of the activity today. So just keep that in mind. So even after this challenge, this can be wonderful for both you and your dog. Gives you just that little bit of a moment just to kind of exist in each other's presence. Sounds a little bit woo-woo-y, and I don't want to get down the rabbit hole of mindfulness or anything like that. But if you leave your phone at home for today, super cool with that, and just have that nice little moment with your dog, just doing nothing. That's gonna be for some of you anyways. For others, again, this might be a little bit more difficult to start with, but I promise the more that you do it, the more relaxed everybody is going to get. If you do have plenty of life on and we might not be able to do a nice loose leash walk to, say, that park bench or the table that you're thinking of, totally fine just to drive down, but still do a little bit of a warm up for your dog. Make sure that we've got some beans out. Again, try to set everybody up for success for today. So for today, you can grab your food if you are working on your loose leash walk to that park bench or that table that you've been thinking of just hanging out with your dog. So grab your food if you are going to be working on that aspect of the leash walk today. Grab your hopefully nice chilled dog, maybe after a little bit of a play or something like that. You can grab your phone, but today is gonna be a permission day that you don't need your phone for today. Just try and enjoy that moment with your dog. So I've got Willow the Rottweiler. She's gonna be helping me to show what is the challenge for today, which is just doing nothing. So oftentimes coming out, a lot of dogs are do quite well with moving, but then we ask them just to hang out, and that's when everything kind of falls apart, but we don't practice it enough. So at some stage today, whether it's close by, whether you go to a park and you know exactly where you're just gonna hang out with your dog, we're just gonna basically just sit down and enjoy some time with them. Now Willow is quite good at this, so I don't have to give her too much instruction. some dogs will actually overstimulate themselves a little bit because then they're like, well, environment, and they get very excitable for it. If that happens with you and your dog, I want you to try and work through some of that stuff today. So a lot of people have aspirations to, like, say, go to a coffee shop or something like that. Like, that's just an easy example to give. But just somewhere that, like, if you are static, not moving, and there's a bunch of things that are happening around, a lot of people don't recognize that even in this type of environment, if your dog can't just chill out here when there's not very much happening, there's going to be probably no chance at a coffee shop. So start low and aim high later. A little bit of a noise for her. There you go. Good job, sweetie. So start off somewhere that is very low distraction and work your way up as you get moving. Good job, Wills. If there's some distractors that are coming by, it's a good opportunity to work on, like, our name game. So we've got some people who are coming by for a walk. So if she gets very distracted by it, I can help her out with some support. But I want to try and stay out of it as much as possible for this. Like, just hang out, watch the world go by, do nothing. Stuff's going to come by and it's not a big deal. Good job, Wills. Good girl, sweetie. It's probably good for us people as well, too, to have a little bit of, like, time out. Just, like, hang out and enjoy your dog. Nice job. So I haven't given her any obedience commands. You can give your dog obedience commands if they're really struggling to settle. But for most of it, I just kind of want to, like, be able to emulate that, like, hey, we're just hanging out here. You can say something like easy, meaning we're not going anywhere, just settle in. You can ask your dog for a drop, but remember that for some obedience stuff, if they get out of position, that's sort of us, like, allowing that to happen sometimes in some cases. Again, it depends. So just be mindful about using too much obedience because we can let our obedience go a little bit if we let go of some of the standards that we have as well too. So, like, if she stands, if she sits, if she drops, totally fine. Like, I don't really mind anything. Just want her to be comfortable with it. And again, Willow's done this quite a lot with us. We've been training with her for quite a while. So this is a little bit easier for her than maybe somebody who's never done this with their dog before. But again, just working through a little bit of that overstimulation if that is what's happening. What I would also recommend with your leash handling here is give a certain length of the leash. And again, using that same thumb grip that we've practiced earlier in the challenge, make sure that you're really kind of being static about the amount of space that you want your dog to have. You could also even do a tie out while you're sitting here, because that tie out is going to be much less emotional than you are and much more timely about its feedback as well too. So if we don't want her, like, scrounging around any of the tables underneath here or something like that, we can kind of tie it out so that it's nice and short on this, like, say for example, bench leg. So that's another tactic that you have too, just to be able to block your dog from getting super worked up about things. Oh my gosh, big yawns. Big yawns, my love. I know. Willow just went for a swim as well too, so she's feeling nice and calm and relaxed. Good job, Wills. She's a super clever girly. I know. And again, make this as short or long as you want. I would probably say anywhere between, like, 1 to 5 minutes of just hanging out is probably totally fine. Good girl, sweetie. Let's go. Then we can move off. Nice. Thanks for watching today's video. My name is Kristen from Salty Cat. If you would like to start from day 1 of our 30-day leash walking challenge, you can click on the recommended video to get started with your leash walking journey today. Good boy. Nice. Did you get me? You got me so